Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining me here as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, a little bit of television, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but mostly we just love the movies around here. Now, you're going to notice that I am not in my my new studio. Of course, heavy rains happening in Los Angeles right now, and as a result of a mishap with a cell tower that was installed on the roof of our studio, we had like 25 leaks on the studio because we're on the top floor of the building. And so that's why we didn't have a Weekly Hero yesterday, and the rains continue today. So I'm back here in my studio again today, and that's fine. As long as you're here, then I got everything that I need. All right, guys, we got a lot of stuff to talk about here today. And the first thing we're going to talk about is this. The Golden Globes are useless, and they're pointless, and nobody should talk about them. They're absolutely irrelevant. Unlike the Academy, 7,000 members, made up of writers, directors, cinematographers, actors, producers, studio executives, blah, blah, film industry professionals, right? The actors division nominate the actor categories. The writers wing nominate the writing categories. The directors in the Academy nominate the directors nominees. You know, it's a really nice, well-rounded thing. Perfect system, no, but it's pretty damn good. The Golden Globes is about 65 or 70 people who just happen to be film critics for publications from another country, but they live in Hollywood, and that are the 60 or 70 members of the Hollywood Foreign Press. It's irrelevant. It's stupid. I don't know why people make a big deal out of it. They do put on a good show. They put on a great show. But, you know, they obviously just do things to try to promote the Hollywood Foreign Press. That's all it's there to do. At any rate, the nominees for this year's Golden Globes came out today, and it's completely irrelevant and meaningless because it's the Golden Globes. However, one thing was interesting that I thought we would talk about here for a second, because we are getting into award season, and this is, I'm sure, going to come up. One of their first of all, they nominated Green Book for Best Picture, Musical, or Comedy. Green Book is not a comedy, and Green Book is not a musical, so go. They just had to make room, though, in the other Best Picture category for Black Panther, because they wanted the attention. But anyway, yes, Black Panther was nominated at the Golden Globes for Best Picture Drama. So Black Panther nominated at the Golden Globes for Best Picture Drama. All right, fine. If you guys have been watching me for any period of time, you know I loved Black Panther. If you saw my review, my spoiler review, I love Black Panther. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. But the reality is, no comic book movies this year should be in Best Picture discussion. Not Avengers Infinity War, not Ant-Man and the Wasp, not Venom, not Black Panther. None of them deserve. And by the way, there is a strong argument to be made. I'm not quite sure whether I like Black Panther or Avengers Infinity War more. I'm kind of surfing the line between the two of them. But there's a lot of people out there who will make the argument that Black Panther wasn't even the best comic book movie this year. That distinction should go to Avengers Infinity War. Be that as it may. I thought Black Panther was great, but it has some clear weaknesses in it too, and that's fine. It was a thoroughly enjoyable, great kind of milestone of a movie that was wonderful and a real advancement for the comic book genre. And so was Infinity War. So were some others. Does it deserve to be, when you just sit down and look at it as a motion picture, take the importance of the film out of it for a second, the first black lead superhero movie in this new age of comic book movies, like the significance of the film is undeniable. It's great, and it did some wonderful things on that level. But take all of that out of it for a second. Is Black Panther a movie that on its own merits as a film really be in the discussion for Best Picture? No. Now, it's all subjective. It's completely, just because I think that way doesn't mean you need to think that way. But from my point of view, no. As much as I love Black Panther and I love comic book movies, not Avengers Infinity War, not Black Panther, not Ant-Man, not Venom, none of them deserve to be nominated for Best Picture. All of them I enjoyed. All of them great. None of them deserve to be there. And like I said, a lot of you guys would probably make the argument that Avengers Infinity War was even better than Black Panther. Black Panther happens to be in both of those films, so win-win, but you know what I'm saying here, right? This is why this upsets me. I believe, you guys who've watched my show for any period of time, you know that I talk quite frequently about the fact that Hollywood needs to stop the exclusion of, black filmmakers, black talent, Asian filmmakers, Asian talent, women directors, blah, blah. We need to stop. Hollywood needs to stop this agenda it's had for like 100 years of excluding everybody else other than white men. That's been some people say there's an agenda to do this. No. There's a movement to stop the agenda of excluding everybody else for the last 100 years. And you guys know I feel very passionately about that. However, I believe, and I've always kind of felt this way, whereas a Black Panther was a major milestone in breaking down these exclusions that we've had in Hollywood for so long. And now they're talking about a Shang-Chi movie, and we're talking about more female-led movies, and this is all great. And I think Black Panther and its success had a lot to do with that, and that's all positive. However, I feel like when a joke of a body like the Hollywood Foreign Press and their Golden Globe Awards take Black Panther and nominate it, let's be honest here, as a token. The Golden Globes are nominating Black Panther as a token. And I believe tokenism is counterproductive to all the incredible achievements that a film and the significance of a film like Black Panther have made. When the Golden Globes goes out of their way, well, let's call Green Book a musical or comedy so we can make room for Black Panther so we can get so much attention for our Hollywood Foreign Press. That's what this is all about. It reminds me a lot about when that Angelina Jolie, Johnny Depp film, I think it was called The Tourist, that was horrible, that members of the Hollywood Foreign Press as film critics gave negative reviews to, but hey, you had Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie were the power couple at the time, Johnny Depp. We can get them coming to our show and coming to the Golden Globe. So let's nominate The Tourist for Best Picture. Some of you don't even remember that. But yes, that horrible movie, The Tourist, got nominated for Best Picture. They only did it so they can get the biggest stars to their event and to get attention for them. And I feel like the moving of Green Book and having Black Panther in there, which really shouldn't be in the Best Picture discussion, again, from my point of view, I believe it kind of reeks of tokenism that is ultimately damaging and counterintuitive and is a step backwards for all the advancements that films like Black Panther have made. Because when you do that, it triggers some backlash. Anyway, there may be some of you guys watching right now that you legitimately feel that Black Panther deserves a Best Picture thing. And fine, if that's how you feel, great. All film is subjective. Your opinion is no less and no more valid than mine, so it's all great. But from my point of view, it just once again goes to the laughability of it. Now, here's the thing. It's a strong movement. It's a strong movement. There has been a big push to get Black Panther considered for Best Picture since the film came out. And you may see it pop up in the broadcast. I have no doubt it's going to probably get a nomination in the Broadcast Film Critics Society. And you know what? I even think there's a possibility in an era where you can have up to 10 nominees for Best Picture. I'm not going to fall out of my chair of shock if it gets, and you know what? I don't know. If there are 10 nominees, I might slide an Infinity War or Black Panther in there if I had to give 10 nominees. But in a thing of 5 for Best Drama, I just think it goes once again to why the Golden Globes are kind of a sham. But anyway, that's just me. That's my annual Golden Globes rant on how pathetic I think the Golden Globes are. But hey, whatever. All right, let's go to this other thing off the top. Yesterday, we talked about the fact that Kevin Hart, speaking of the awards season, Kevin Hart was announced as being the host for the upcoming Academy Awards. Now, I like the choice. Was it my first choice? No, but I like the choice for 2 reasons. Number 1, he's a super funny guy. Number 2, because his stand-up comedy is great. Number 2, I like it because in principle, I love the idea of a true movie personality being the host of the biggest night of the movie year, right? That's just kind of how I feel about that. Some of you feel different, totally fine. That's how I feel about it. However, the last 24 hours have seen a bit of controversy popping up, and I've had a lot of you guys sending me tweets and messages asking me to address it. So I'll just address it here quickly, okay? I'll just give this as a quick thought. There have been some outlets writing, for lack of a better term, complaint pieces about Kevin Hart being selected to host the Academy Awards. The majority of the complaints stem from the fact that in I believe it's a 2010 special he did, and one a little bit later, where he did jokes in his comedy special about how he, as a heterosexual man, one of his nightmares is the idea that his son will not be heterosexual, will end up being homosexual, and he doesn't know what to do with that, right? Now, Kevin Hart has gone on record several times about that particular bit he did in those comedy series to say the point of that joke was I was making fun of my insecurities as a heterosexual man, something that a lot of heterosexual men have. He said that joke was about my insecurities as a heterosexual father and my insecurities. It was not a joke making fun of the gay community. Not at all. It was a joke about my insecurities. And he's gone on record and said that. Some people accepted that, some people didn't. Okay, fine. So now fast forward to today. And some people are making a big deal out of it. You know what the funny thing is? I'm finding some outlets are making a bigger deal out of this than the LGBTQ community are. Because I think a lot of the members in the LGBTQ community are like, he was making a joke. And he was making a joke about himself, not about us. But some outlets want to seem to make a big deal out of this. So I've had a bunch of people ask me to give a comment on it. My comment on it is simply this. Why are we even talking about this? Honestly. Comedians, you know, the two guys who do South Park, they once said it best. We either need to be able to joke about and make fun of everything, or we can joke about and make fun of nothing. And I think there are exceptions to that, but overall, I think that statement is true. Kevin Hart's a professional comedian. He's been doing stand-up comedy for decades, and he's got a lot of jokes about a lot of different things. Did he make a joke about a sensitive subject at one point? Yes, he did. But I thought he handled it well. Now, granted, this is easy for me as a straight, boringly heterosexual dude to say, so it's easy for me to say, but that's the only perspective I have, so I'm going to give it. I thought he handled it well, and I thought he acquitted himself well from it. And even he has said, you know, I probably won't do that joke anymore because some people take it the wrong way. So he's not going to do it. But oh my God, seriously? We as a people and as a culture, particularly entertainment fans, we seem to have such a witch hunt mentality that we are going to find something to be offended by that you did or said at some point in your life. And all I can say is, God, you better pray you never get asked to host the Oscars, whoever you are, because people will dig and then they will find something that will embarrass you in your past. We don't care about the person you are now. We care about what you've done. And by the way, I would be singing a different tune if Kevin Hart had, hospitalized somebody, or if Kevin Hart had broken a series of laws and Kevin Hart had done this and that's different. He made a joke in a stand-up comedy special that unfortunately a few people misinterpreted, and hey, that's fine. But he explained it. He explained what he meant by it. I think it's perfectly fine. Now, some people want to complain, well, he cheated on his wife. Well, okay, but 75% of the Hollywood couples are swingers anyway. So I look, what happened in his marriage between him and his wife was between him and his wife, or his ex-wife, as the case may be. All I'm saying is, if we are going to get down and start pulling people to the carpet over these sorts of things, there are legitimate things to bring people out to the carpet over. There are things. This, I don't know, man. So as far as I'm concerned, until I see something a lot more compelling or hear a lot more compelling of an argument, to me, this is ridiculous that we're even talking about. So I know a lot of you guys asked me to comment on it. There's my comment on it. I think it's stupid that we're even talking about it. So let's just let it go. I feel like I've lost a couple of IQ points, and I don't have a lot to spare. And I feel like I've lost a couple of IQ points even just talking about it for these last 5 minutes. So let's move on from that, shall we? Okay, let's move on to this now. Tonight, Thursday, December the 6th, is the Game Awards. And we talked about the Game Awards a few weeks ago and all that kind of stuff about some of the games that have some big movie property connections and stuff like that that have been nominated for Game of the Year tonight. But one of the really interesting things at the Game Awards tonight is that Avengers Infinity War and Avengers 4 and Captain America Civil War directors Joe and Anthony Russo are going to be at the Game Awards. This has been highly publicized by not only themselves and not only the games, but the producers of the games have come out. They've made some big claims about it. They've been talking about how, we're going to have the Russo brothers there, which is great. I mean, that's totally great that the Russo brothers are going to be there. It's totally wonderful that they're talking about this stuff. And they're going to have these guys there, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be wonderful and all that kind of stuff. Okay, fantastic. What has happened, though, is that a number of people, a lot of people actually, ever since this announcement, but it has picked up in the last 24 hours. A lot of people has been speculating that because Joe and Anthony Russo are there, they suspect that there is a possibility that as a part of this broadcast, reaching out to the gaming community, that Joe and Anthony Russo will actually drop the Avengers 4 trailer tonight. There are a bunch of reports going around that saying the Avengers trailer is going to drop tomorrow. Personally, I believe that. I believe it will drop tomorrow. But we've been seeing more and more people, particularly in the last 24 hours, this growing momentum of people believing that they're going to drop the Avengers 4 trailer tonight as a part of the Game Awards. I've even spoken to one person inside Disney who said they believe that's what's happening. No, they didn't tell me they know that's what's happening. They told me they think that's what's happening. So I don't know that I buy that. My personal belief, as I just said, is that they will probably drop a trailer tomorrow. If that actually happens, who knows? We're all speculating at this point. However, it is not a ridiculous thing. A lot of these people who are wondering if they're going to drop this trailer tonight, it's not a ridiculous thing to believe. Look, it is a high-profile event, the Gaming Awards, that has a very targeted audience, a gamer audience. And a lot of gamers spend a lot of money going to the movies, right? There were studies about that. People who buy a lot of video games, they also happen to go to a lot of movies. Anyway, so you have a very targeted audience at a big event, right around when there were whispers about them dropping a trailer anyway, and you got the two directors there. It is not a ridiculous notion to consider it is possible that they actually shock the world, surprise everybody, and drop the Avengers 4 trailer tonight. I think there are three possibilities here about what's going to happen tonight, all right? Possibility number one, Joe and Anthony Russo help introduce the new upcoming Avengers game. I believe it's Square Enix has a new Avengers game coming out, and that they're going to use that and have Joe and Anthony Russo there to kind of pump and promote the game Avengers that's forthcoming. That is a very strong possibility. Possibility number two, Joe and Anthony Russo. We know we live in this stupid age right now where people put out trailers to trailers, right? A trailer for a trailer. You know, these little 7-second things that are a trailer for the big trailer coming out later this week or coming out tomorrow or coming out whatever. So I believe option number one is that they're just going to help promote the Avengers game. Option number two, they actually drop a tease to the trailer and announce, hey guys, the brand new and the first original Avengers 4 trailer drops tomorrow, and then they have a little 7-second glimpse at the trailer. You know what I mean? So option number one, they promote the game. Option number two, they're going to give us a teaser to the trailer and announcing when the trailer is dropping, which would most likely be tomorrow. Option number three, I think, is that they actually just drop the whole trailer. So those are the three options. Out of those three options, I think the most likely are option one and option two. The option about them dropping the entire trailer, or not dropping the entire trailer, the option about them dropping a trailer or teaser for the game, or number two, that they give us some kind of tease about the upcoming trailer. That's what I think is the most likely scenario. But I'm telling you what, guys, while I am betting that the trailer's coming tomorrow and that they're not going to drop the trailer tonight, I'm just telling you, let's not fall out of our seats in shock if they do actually go, and we've got something to show you guys tonight. And everybody screams and loses their collective minds, and they talk about the new trailer. So keep your eyes open for that. Let's see what happens. Let me ask you guys this. Do you think they may actually drop this Avengers 4 trailer tonight when the Russo brothers appear at the Game Awards? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that out of the way, let's get on to the main topics today. How do we select our main topics around here? Well, it's actually kind of simple. You guys select the main topics by emailing me your topics and questions anytime to john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less. All right, let's get on now to the first email today. And the first email today comes to us from Robert Kessler, who writes, "Hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much. It looks like 21 Jump Street may be rebooted with Tiffany Haddish and Awkwafina. As a huge fan of the first two movies, the idea of a reboot breaks my heart. I'm not a huge fan of either actress, and without Lord Miller, this idea sounds awful to me. What are your thoughts?" All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And yes, as Robert brought out, there are reports going around right now that I believe it's Columbia, which is under Sony, is looking at rebooting and doing 21 Jump Street again. This time, instead of Channing Tatum, they're going to be going with Tiffany Haddish and Awkwafina. Now, I will say that I had never even heard of Tiffany Haddish before Girls Trip. And I have really not been a big fan of Awkwafina. I really don't care much about Awkwafina. However, along came this little movie called Girls Trip. So this little movie Girls Trip comes along, right? And Girls Trip was amazing. Like, absolutely freaking amazing. I loved Girls Trip. I thought Girls Trip was fantastic. I had a great time with it. I couldn't believe how good I thought it was. I was not expecting it to be as good as it ended up being, and it was my surprise hit of the year. My surprise movie of the year was Girls Trip. I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it a lot. And one of the reasons that I liked it the most was Tiffany Haddish. I thought Tiffany Haddish was fearless. I thought she was gutsy in her comedy. And you could just tell that as a performer, there was nothing she wouldn't do to try to get the laugh. And I loved her in that movie. Now, I haven't loved her in anything else, but to be frank with you, I think her management has picked some really awful movies for her to be a part of, right? So it's not like she's had good material to work with. So I'm not going to give her any dings for those other crappy movies. But when she was in a movie with some pretty decent material, what she was able to then bring to that and heighten that material, like in a Girls Trip, I'm a big fan. And then Girls Trip made Ann and I start checking out some of her comedy specials, and her comedy specials are really funny. With Awkwafina, first of all, she has the stupidest name in Hollywood. John, you shouldn't make fun of somebody's name. I'll make fun of somebody's name if they give themselves that name. So, yeah. If you can show me and prove to me her mother gave her that name, then I won't make fun of it because, what can you do? But, yeah, Awkwafina, pretty dumb name to give yourself. Anyway, I've never been impressed with her. Wasn't all that impressed with her in Ocean's 8 or really anything else. But then I saw Crazy Rich Asians. And Awkwafina, there's a number of good, funny things in Crazy Rich Asians, but easily and by far, Awkwafina was the funniest thing about Crazy Rich Asians. It's like that was the first movie she really got to turn it on and really go for it. And she crushed it. She crushed it. And I love it when there are these performers that I have one idea about, maybe I don't like them so much, I don't think they're very good, and then they can come out with a performance that makes me go, wait a minute. That was pretty damn good. And I have never been big on Awkwafina, but I'll tell you what, I saw Crazy Rich Asians, and I'm like, damn, this girl stole the show. She really did. So here's the notion of the 21 Jump Street thing. The notion as we understand it is that obviously Tiffany Haddish, I believe, is approaching 40. She's not going to be playing a high school student. But from what I'm reading, they're saying she's probably going to be playing a teacher. She's going to be posing as a teacher in a high school, and Awkwafina will pose as her daughter. If I understand it right, because Awkwafina is almost 30 years old too, but let's face it, she can pass for a high school student when she wants to. So look, I'll tell you what, Robert, I get it. You're looking at this and you're thinking, this doesn't sound very good, and that's fine. But here's the thing. I was the exact same way about the first 21 Jump Street. I was still not on board with the Channing Tatum. I am today, but at the time, I still really wasn't on board with Channing Tatum. I thought Jonah Hill was kind of hit and miss. And the notion of reviving this old 21 Jumps, I thought that sounded dumb. And I thought it would be awful. And then I saw it and I was like, okay, wow. They really surprised me. And they did. They surprised the hell out of me with it. So I still don't like about doing another 21 Jump Street, particularly without Channing Tatum. But you know what? I think these two are talented, and I didn't think the first one would work either, and I ended up loving both of the first two. Why not give this? So I'll give this one the benefit of the doubt. This one I will give the benefit of the doubt for now. We'll see if that benefit of the doubt pays off or not. All right, let's move on to the second email today. And the second email today comes to us from one of our Patreon supporters, Kevin Ward. And first of all, Kevin, thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. And Kevin writes, I just read that due to the high demand for the December 15th screenings of the Aquaman movie, they decided to expand to 100 more theaters. I was wondering, though, how will that affect its opening weekend box office? December 15th is the Saturday prior to its wide release. Will the Saturday screenings get lumped into its quote-unquote opening weekend numbers the way that Thursday previews typically do? Thanks. All right, thanks a lot for the question, Kevin. And yes, so as many of you guys know, there is Aquaman officially opens December 21st. We all know that really means Thursday the 20th. So that's when it officially opens. But Amazon Prime has partnered with Warner Brothers to create a special fan night event where they're going to be screening for one night, December 15th, 7 p.m. You can watch Aquaman. You could buy, as a Amazon Prime member, you could buy up to 10 tickets. I bought 6. So I'm going to go see it. Then I'm going to see it this week as well. But then I'm going to go see it on Saturday, or I'm going to see it on that December 15th as well. I've got my tickets. I'm looking forward to it. Now, how will this opening night special screening affect the opening weekend box office? My understanding is this. The receipts for this special screening will not count towards their opening weekend. It doesn't count towards their opening weekend. It does count towards their overall box office, but it does not count for its opening weekend. Here's a good example. There are films that open on a Wednesday sometimes. Those Wednesdays do not count as their opening weekend. There are long holiday weekends, and you'll get two separate numbers. You'll get the long holiday weekend numbers, but then you just get the opening weekend numbers that don't count the extra days in the holiday. So understanding that since that has been the pattern and the way they attribute the opening weekend box office, if they do that with long weekends, I just have to assume at this point they're going to apply that same principle to these special Saturday screenings. It'll count towards the box office, but it won't count towards its opening weekend. Now, speaking of Aquaman and its box office, though, that does raise the question, how is Aquaman's box office going to do? We're seeing opening weekend projections that range from $65 million to $100 million. So there's a $35 million range there right now. I'm thinking Aquaman's going to come in a little under $100 million, which is still way exceeding the earliest projections that they had. I think we're looking at a good solid $70 to $80 million opening weekend for Aquaman. That's what I think we're going to get. Now, in the grand scheme of things, if it does come in around $70, $80, $90 million opening weekend, where does that position Aquaman in terms of the DCEU? Well, technically speaking, it would make it the lowest opening weekend all of the DCEU movies. You can see the highlighted numbers there. Justice League opened with $93 million. Then Wonder Woman opened with $103 million. Man of Steel opened with $116. Suicide Squad opened with $133. And the biggest opening weekend in the DCEU's history was Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice with $166 million. So if Aquaman comes in around 70, 80, or 90, that will make it the lowest opening weekend in the DCEU. However, let's not forget this. These Christmas movies that open in this window, they don't always have the biggest opening weekends, but they tend to have longer legs, right? So Aquaman may very well become the lowest opening for a DCEU movie, but it could end up one of the top 2 or 3 overall box office grossing films for the DCEU, and that will include numbers from that Saturday. From the Saturday the 15th special screening. So, anyway, that's how I'm kind of seeing it right now. That's the way I believe it's going to shake out. Thanks a lot for the question, man. All right, let's move on now to the third email. And the third email today comes to us from Tommy Tucker, who writes, "Sup, John? This is Pete from Memphis." Well, your name was Tommy Tucker, but now you're Pete. Okay, whatever. My question is simple. Do we as an audience expect too much from CGI/special effects? I remember seeing Flash Gordon and the OG Star Trek as a kid and thinking, that's awesome. Now people seem to go out of their way to pick apart what's CGI and what's practical. I studied 3D modeling in college, and it's not easy. Do we expect too much now? All right, thanks a lot for the question, Tommy. And yeah, the battle and the debate about CGI and how much is enough and how much is too much has been raging on for a while now, right? There are a lot of people, although I remember, this was funny. I remember having this debate with a guy who was like, practical is always better than CGI. No, it's not. No, it is not. Practicals are. Just look at, I remember this is around the time that Mad Max came out. Mad Max Fury Road. And one of his big arguments was, look at Mad Max, man. That's how you do it. Practical effects, you get real environments, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you do know that a hell of a lot of Mad Max was CGI, right? No, it wasn't. Yeah, here's a link to the whole VFX behind-the-scenes special about the visual effects in Mad Max. There's a hell of a lot. I never heard back from him again. But at any rate, so there's this, between the battle of practical to CGI versus what are our expectations of CGI? You know? What is realistic? What is not realistic? How have we as an audience come to take for granted CGI? Because CGI today is so good that there are quite often entire scenes of CGI that you as an audience member don't even realize you're looking at CGI. And sometimes that's the best kind of CGI, the effects that you don't even realize are there, right? And that's the thing. There's a lot of times, Mad Max Fury Road is a great example of that. CGI, when the audience doesn't even know they're looking at CGI. And then have to backtrack when they say, there's too much CGI. Sometimes there is, a lot of times there's not. I remember, now this is when I was like an infant, but going back to when I was a very little child, but the big marketing campaign around Christopher Reeve's Superman. The big marketing campaign around Christopher Reeve's Superman was, you will believe a man can fly. Because of this astounding advancement they made with special effects, with the flying thing, to make it look like this actor, Christopher Reeve, was actually flying. Right? They made a big advancement in that regard. So, you'll believe a man could fly. That was their big thing. And sure enough, a lot of people watched Superman back in the day and were amazed. Unbelievable. Well, obviously, it looks like junk now. Even the most rudimentary flying effects in a CW Supergirl show look 20 times better than the flying Superman we had back then. It's changed and it's evolved. You know? When Jar Jar Binks, and look, crap all over the prequels that you want, and I do quite often, but crap all over them that you want. Jar Jar Binks marked such an advancement in the world of CGI and what was possible with CGI. And what was possible. That's why The Matrix, which was a much better movie, it's a total joke that Matrix won Best Visual Effects. Ask any visual effects house in Hollywood what should have won Best Visual Effects that year. They will all tell you The Phantom Menace should have won Best Visual Effects. But I digress. The thing is, with the advancement of Superman to Jar Jar, from Jar Jar to today, we as an audience have become so desensitized to the amazing magic that these CGI and visual effects people are able to conjure. We have become so desensitized to these miracle workers and what they are actually able to do and convince us of on screen. We've become so desensitized to it that when we see the most obscure flaw in something, we will rant and complain about terrible visual effects, terrible visual effects. You know what? Let's look at Steppenwolf even. And I complain about the look at Steppenwolf, but Steppenwolf in Justice League, he looked terrible. They did a terrible job with him. But if Steppenwolf was a main villain, even just 7 years ago, still in the 2010s, if Steppenwolf was your main villain 7 years ago, we would not have been nearly as harsh on him. Unfortunately, he comes out in the same year that we have a Thanos, and you can clearly see a discrepancy between the visual quality of a Thanos versus a Steppenwolf, but still, it is just once again a highlight of just how desensitized we as an audience have been. And I think we need to take, as an audience, take a step back. And granted, I'm a little biased. I used to work in visual effects. But I think we as an audience need to take a step back and really start to reinvest in our appreciation for this magic and this wizardry that these people are able to do. This new set of reality, as Robert Meyer Burnett talks about, we live in an age of wonders. When you can watch a movie and not even suspect, and get a scene like this, and not even suspect for a moment that what you're looking at isn't real. Not even for a moment suspect that what you're looking at isn't real. And you don't even know they used visual effects in that particular. When we live in that kind of an age, we need to appreciate what it is they do all the more. Unfortunately, it does also mean that when it's done poorly, it kind of stands out a little bit more. But I still believe that you're completely right. The underlying problem here is that we as an audience have become desensitized to the amazing, to the absolutely amazing. And we should develop our appreciation for that a little bit more. So I agree with you on that. All right, let's move on now to the final email today. And the final email today comes to us from Mike. And Mike writes, "Hey John, big fan of the show." Thank you so much, Mike. "My question is, did you hear about Chris McKay confirming there will be a Lego Batman 2? Are you surprised that he is making another Lego Batman movie? And what does this mean for Nightwing?" All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And yes, so Chris McKay, who directed the first Batman Lego movie, the Lego Batman movie, I should say, which, by the way, was freaking spectacular. That first Lego Batman movie was nothing short of spectacular. I love that damn thing. I thought it was funny and engaging and just like really great with like humor that only adults would get, but also humor that kids could pick up on and understand at the same time and not be left out. I thought it was just damn phenomenal what they did there. Just damn phenomenal. It was quick, it was rapid, phonetic pace, and it didn't make anywhere near as much money as the first Lego movie, which I was really surprised about because I thought it was super high quality. I remember Jeremy Johns and I went to see, we both went to Warner Brothers lot to watch the Batman Lego movie. And we both had mild expectations because we liked the Batman character in the Lego movie a lot. The trailers were pretty fun, so we had mild expectations. We both came walking out of the Warner Brothers lot, and I remember Jeremy at the time was, I'll just tell you straight up, that was better than the Lego movie. I'm still not sure that I like it more than the first Lego movie, but I knew it was at least on par with the first Lego movie. And a lot of us was just blown away by how good it was, at any rate. So, Chris McKay, he gets brought on to do a Nightwing movie. It completely gets derailed because Matt Reeves is so far behind on getting his Batman stuff in, and his Nightwing, Chris McKay's Nightwing project had to be on hold until they had the Batman stuff in. The Batman stuff was at least a year behind schedule, and Chris McKay was just sitting around going, I'm just sitting here, I gotta leave, I gotta go do some other things. So it's not saying he's off Nightwing altogether, okay? Let's be clear. Nightwing may still happen, and Chris McKay still may be the director of it. But he couldn't sit around and wait anymore, and he had to leave and start doing other things. Now, out of all that, here's the thing. Out of all of that, somebody tweeted to Chris McKay to say, hey, man, I loved your Batman movie. Think we can get another one? And Chris McKay replied basically saying, yeah, we're working on something. We're working on it. We're going to see if we're going to get something going. Let me see if I can actually find an image of his tweet here. Let's see, because I want to make sure I get this absolutely right, because I don't want to butcher what it is he's trying to say here. I want to get his exact wording. You know what? I'm not going to find it. He's far too active. I'm not going to find it. But anyway, he basically said, yeah, we're working on it and blah, 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 blah. He did not say, I am confirming that a Batman Lego Movie 2 is coming. No. He said he's working on one, but that does not mean it's happening. 9 out of every 10 movies that people are working on never make it to the big screen. There's a big difference between working on something and developing something to the studio has greenlit this project and now it's in development. There's a big difference between those two things. So let's just be very, very clear about that, guys. If you see other people out there saying, here it's official, a Batman Lego 2 movie is coming, tell them, no, it's not. It's possible, it could in the future, but as of right now, Chris McKay just said he's working on it. But that doesn't mean it's been greenlit. That doesn't mean it could never happen. So let's just be very, very clear about that. I, for one, will be thrilled if they do it, because like I said, I love that Lego Batman movie. I thought it was fresh and original, and the humor, I had to watch it 3 or 4 times just to get all the jokes, because the jokes come so fast and so furious that if you're giggling at one thing, you're going to miss what gets said 2 seconds later. So I had to watch this movie a couple times through just to hear all the great humor in it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. I hope they do another one, but just to be clear, no, it is not official that there is a Lego Batman 2 coming. Chris McKay never said it was. He said he's working on something, but he's probably working on 5 or 6 different things, none of which may ever get to the big screen. Maybe 1 or 2 of them will, and maybe the Batman Lego Movie 2 will be one of them. But as of right now, this is not an official thing. So it's a possibility, but it is not an official thing. All right, guys, that'll do it for all the emailed in questions today. So now we're going to take some time and go over and take some of your live questions. You guys have been firing in a bunch of live questions, so let's go over and start getting to those right now. And we're going to start things off with PGML, who writes, I thought Venom was PG-13'd down, but I think I'm the only one because everyone was talking about how violent it was. Oh, well. Yeah, it was a super violent movie. There's a really big body count. The only difference is there's not a lot of blood. They didn't show blood. One of the greatest examples of this in the movie, and I've brought this up a couple times, is that one scene when Riot turned his arm into a big scimitar and basically ran the guy through into the wall. How can you do that in a PG-13 movie? Simple. Don't show blood. That's it. You had all the action. You had the event, running a guy through, blah, blah. You just didn't show blood. You take out blood, oh my God, there's a lot of violence you can put in a PG-13 movie, man. As long as you don't show sex and you don't show blood, there is a lot of violence you can show in a PG-13 movie. So I never felt that. I never felt it was PG-13 down. I never felt that. But I'm not saying you're wrong feeling that way. I'm just saying that's just not the impression I got. All right. Ben Rayner writes. What does Ben Rayner write? There he is. Ben Rayner writes, has anyone told you look like Liev Schreiber? He's way better looking than me. And should play you in your biopic. By the way, have you watched Day Donovan? I think you mean Ray Donovan. This season, it's improved in my opinion. I like Ray Donovan. I just didn't like the last season. I liked Ray Donovan very much up until the last season. But I'm hearing this new season picks it up again, so that's great. What I get more of is people tell me I look like a younger Liam Neeson, which is also very flattering. But I just think Liev Schreiber is like way too handsome of a man to compare to me. So I will take it as great flattery, but I think he's far too handsome to compare to me or to play me in a biopic. All right. Nathan Oswald writes, my most disappointing film experience was Last Jedi. Oh, that's too bad, man. I had a good experience with it. I just didn't like the casino scene. Dimsum05 writes, the snap/dusting of characters has a name. It's called The Decimation. Could that be the name of Avengers 4? Well, I don't think so, only because I believe the Russo brothers have stated that the name of Avengers 4 is something that has been mentioned in the previous movies. I don't think The Decimation has been mentioned in any of the movies. Then again, maybe they changed their mind, or maybe they were never telling the truth in the first place. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Russos have said the name of Avengers 4 has been mentioned in the previous films. If they're not lying, and if they haven't changed their mind, I think that disqualifies The Decimation as a title. So I'm going to guess no, but we've seen more surprising things happen in this business, haven't we? James Welsh writes, you see the trailer for Kenneth Branagh's All Is True? No, I saw the trailer popped up in my feed, but I was busy getting ready for the show today, so I have not watched it. I'm very excited about it because I'm a big Kenneth Branagh fan. I wasn't a big fan of Murder on the Orient Express. I was really psyched about that. Didn't live up to my expectations. But Kenneth Branagh is a master filmmaker. I think he's great, and I'm very excited to check out that trailer. I just haven't checked it out yet. Okay. Vrinder Singh writes, I'm feeling really down today, so it would really make me happy if you could say that quote from Venom in that accent. Okay, so what Vrinder's talking about, post-credit scene of Venom. They go and they see Woody Harrelson as Cletus, and he's in prison. And a lot of people were excited about the post-credit scene, and I liked Venom, but I did not like the post-credit scene. To me, it was just sickening fan service, right? Because everyone knows Cletus becomes Carnage. Okay, so what does he say in prison? He goes, I'm going to get out of here. When I do, there's going to be carnage. It's like, and everybody in the theater is like, ooh, he said carnage. He becomes Carnage. And I'm like, just fan service is not necessarily in and of itself a bad thing. Fan service can be a really, really good thing. It's just when it's out of place and it just oozes fan service. And when I do, there's going to be carnage. It just made me made me feel dirty. Made me feel dirty. But yes, there you go, Vrinder. There's me doing that accent. I hope you enjoyed that. Vrinder follows up with, is it possible that in Avengers 4, the dusted characters didn't die, but reappear in an alternate universe? Perhaps that's why Spider-Man is titled Far From Home. Well, you know what, Vrinder? That's number one, no, I don't think they just appear in a different universe. That was never mentioned as a possibility in Avengers Infinity War. It was just eradicating them. That was always just termed wiping them out. It was never, we're going to relocate. Like, we're not going to kill anybody. We're just going to relocate them to a different universe where this thing's going to be good. Wouldn't you think that Thanos would have brought that up? Whoa, Avengers. Hold up. Stop punching me. Okay, I get it. You're mad. You're thinking I'm trying to kill half of the people in the universe. I'm not, guys. I'm just going to relocate people. I'm just going to take a bunch of living beings from here and move them somewhere else so everybody can be happy. If that's what Thanos was doing, you would have thought, let's put it this way, it'll be a massive plot hole to me in Avengers Infinity War. If Avengers 4 comes on, they just say, he just reappeared them in a different universe. Then that becomes a massive plot hole to me in Avengers Infinity War. Because you would have thought at some point, he would have just said, guys, whoa, I get it. You're mad because you think I'm trying to kill everybody. I'm not. I'm just trying to relocate a bunch of people so that the resources of the universe are plentiful for everybody. Like, you would have thought he would bring that up, right? But he doesn't. He says, nope, it's for the greater good. I got to kill everybody. I got to wipe everybody out. Wipe them out of existence. With a snap of my finger, they can just cease to exist. Those are his words. So, is it possible they do something like that? It's possible, but it would be incredibly irresponsible. of them to do so. And it would kind of break canon and create a massive plot hole for them in the previous movie. However, I do like what you're saying there about maybe Spider-Man Far From Home is about him just popping up in a whole different reality. Here's something, though. I think that would be more feasible if Spider-Man Far From Home was coming out before Avengers 4. If Spider-Man Far From Home was coming out before Avengers 4, then I might suspect that a little bit more. But since it's coming out after Avengers 4, I think it's even less likely. But again, as we say all the time, man, anything is possible. All right. Nuravina Parisu writes, sorry for my username. No problem, man. I think I got through it. Hopefully I didn't butcher it, my friend. It's partly a name of a Tamil language album I did. There you go. My question is, with the success of Black Panther and with upcoming Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, how important is 2018 for branching out superheroes to different races and genres? I think, first of all, we can't say how important Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is. It hasn't opened in theaters yet, so we just don't know. But just on the basis of Black Panther opening earlier this year, not only was it a milestone in this new age of these superhero movies, is the first African-American led superhero major movie in this era, in this new era of the big superhero blockbusters. It's the first one they've done. I believe Marvel had done 17 or 18 films in a row with white males as the leads. 17 movies in a row, white male. And that's fine. I'm not complaining about that. But just the fact that Marvel then did and hit that milestone by having a black actor as the lead central character of a movie, of one of their superhero movies, that's a huge thing. That's a big milestone. Then the movie ended up being really good. And then the movie went on to have incredible worldwide success, which I believe has paved the way for a lot of films that we're hearing about being in motion now, owe it to the success and the quality of Black Panther. You know, we just talked about Shang-Chi the other day. I think that movie is completely going to be, need to be eternally grateful to Black Panther for it even being a possibility today. So just on that basis alone, I think 2018 has been a significant year forward. Now we'll see if 2019, 2020 can follow that up. We'll have to wait and see for sure. With Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I don't know. I mean, again, I haven't even seen it. We got Miles Morales as at least a Spider-Man. We got Peter Parker Spider-Man. We got Gwen Stacy. We've got Peter Porker Spider-Ham. We've got the anime one. We got the noir one. We've got, so we got a lot of Spider-Man in there. But how much of an important thing that movie is going to be, it's really hard to say until, number one, we all see it. Then how do we react to it? And then how successful is it? Because all those things goes into how significant the movie is. See, if Black Panther was just a movie with a black lead, that's significant. But it's not as significant as a superhero movie with an African-American lead that is also very good and also has great success. It's all those things together that make something really influential. How much will Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse contribute to that? We'll find out soon. But I think right now it's a little bit too early to call. I'm seeing it on Wednesday. I'm seeing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse this Wednesday. So then I'll have an idea. And then once it opens and we see what kind of legs it has, then we'll be able to sit back and assess, like we can with Black Panther, just how much influence and how important that movie is going to be as well. So we're going to have to wait and see. But thank you for the question, man. Very thoughtful. All right. Let's move on here. Static Space Sean writes, I heard a story of how Pixar accidentally deleted Toy Story 2 from all their drives, but luckily an employee working at home had it, backed up, saving them from scrapping the film. Have you heard about that? And could scrapping the film have changed Pixar's story? I don't know. I've never heard that story, so I don't know if that's actually true. It might be. Let me look it up. I've just never heard of it. Toy Story 2 deleted. Let's see here. There's a story from 2012 talking about It said how Pixar's Toy Story 2 was deleted twice, once by technology and again for its own good. I'd have to go into it a little bit more. I don't have time, obviously, right now on air to read through the story. I'd have to read about that. So let's just take the question from the point of view. What would Pixar's story be like had Toy Story 2 not existed? Toy Story 2, which to this day holds a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. One of the 5 highest rated films of all time. Which then led into Toy Story 3. So I do think, look, Toy Story broke new ground. Totally broke new ground. But it was Toy Story 2 that created the dynasty, right? You say that about championship teams. You win a championship, awesome. You won a championship. Win 2 in a row, now you're a dynasty. Now you truly have an organization of legend now. Now you're on a roll. Toy Story broke new ground. Toy Story 2 made them a dynasty. A dynasty that continues to this day. Incredibles 2 was so good, man. But yeah, I think it would have changed things a lot, to be honest with you, Static Space Sean. I think it would have changed things a lot. Rami J. Royster writes, saw the Favorite. Oh, yeah. Thought Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone were great. I don't fully believe it should be one of the top 10 films of the year. In my opinion, boring. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. I'm supposed to see it on, when I'm supposed to see it? I'm supposed to see it on Monday, I believe. So I have not watched it yet. I've heard nothing but good things. It's getting a lot of awards buzz. So I don't know. I mean, it might just be one of those things where, hey, all film is subjective. Maybe you didn't like it, but a hell of a lot of other people do. Or maybe I'll watch it and have the same opinion. But I mean, look, it's got a killer cast. It's got killer filmmakers behind it. It seems like it's got a really good underlying story. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. We'll see what happens. All right, James Welsh writes, if Welcome to Marwen is meant to be an Oscar contender, why have they not screened it for any guilds or critics yet? Why wait to the last minute? I don't know that it hasn't screened for guilds or critics. I don't know that that's true. Actually, I think I know for a fact that's not true, because I believe I know one of the award bodies, one of my friends who's in the awards body, I believe he got his screener for that already, so... Yeah, I that's the thing, Welsh. Again, you're stating something I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't know that that's true. So I can't really comment on that. Nathan Oswald writes, probably an unpopular opinion, but I enjoy Iron Man 2 more than Black Panther. But in today's climate, it's hard to voice that opinion without being called a racist. No, it's not. You can say you like one thing more over another. No one's going to call you racist saying you like one movie more than another movie. And any backwards thinking moron who calls you that, just, to just ignore them. They're not intelligent enough people to care about. I mean, I would never say that I liked Iron Man 2 more than Black Panther, but that's just because I don't think Iron Man 2 is all that good. And I do think Black Panther's all that good. But film is subjective. You liked Iron Man 2 more than Black Panther? You can say that. I don't know why you feel the need to bring it up. Unless you're specifically in a conversation about Iron Man or about Iron Man 2, and then you may want to, well, I actually even liked Iron Man 2 more than, but I don't know why you'd bring it up, but I don't think anybody with an ounce of intelligence, and let's face it, there are a bunch of people out there without an ounce of intelligence, but I don't think anybody with an ounce of intelligence would accuse you of racism just because you say, now, if you say a lot of other racist shit, and then say Iron Man 2 is better than Black Panther, yeah, you're going to be called a racist. See, this is what I see a lot of, right? I see a lot of this. And I'm not saying you do this, James, or I'm not saying you do this, Nathan. Not at all. This is not about you. But I've seen this sort of thing happen a lot, right? Where I've seen like conversations online, and even conversations I'm not a part of. And let's specifically make it about Black Panther. And it's like somebody say, why do black people need this? And they got to have that. And I just man, it was black people, blah, blah. I'll just use your example for a second, Nathan. I liked Iron Man 2 better than Black Panther. And then they get jumped on for saying a lot of that racist, stupid shit that they said first. And then they'll go, people are jumping all over me just because I said I like Iron Man 2 better than Black Panther. No, they're jumping all over you for all the racist nonsense you said before that. And I've seen so much of that. See a lot of it in the Star Wars discussions too, right? People say all this like sexist, racist shit, and then they get crap for it, and then they go, people are jumping all over me just because I don't like The Last Jedi. No! People are jumping over you because you said a whole bunch of sexist and racist shit, and then you went on to say you don't like The Last Jedi. They're not jumping on you because you said you didn't like The Last Jedi. Nothing wrong with not liking The Last Jedi. I got a lot of great friends of mine who do not like The Last Jedi. And it had nothing to do with any sexist or racist reasons. But all you had to do is spend 2 seconds going through the Rotten Tomatoes user reviews to see all the sexist, racist shit that was being homophobic and all this kind of nonsense was being said. And then they cry victim and go, oh, people are jumping all over me because I didn't like The Last Jedi. No, they're jumping all over because you're racist, homophobic, racist piece of shit. That's why. Anyway. And then it goes the other way, right? Then we saw it go to too much of an extreme, where then there were people out there who just legitimately didn't like The Last Jedi just because they didn't like it, but then they got lumped in with all those homophobic, racist, sexist pieces of shit. And that was unfair too. That's unfair to do that. So I believe there's a whole lot of stupidity that goes around for everybody. We all have a whole big dose of stupidity. And we see it kind of go back and forth all the time. But anyway, I've probably spent more time on that than I needed to. Rami J. Royster writes, play Shadow of Mordor. I get a lot of people telling me that. Play Shadow of Mordor, the Nemesis system. I hear all about this Nemesis system. The Nemesis system is what makes it unique open world game. Orcs fight for control of Sauron's army to become war chiefs. You are there to kill the Black Hand of Sauron's army. I've watched all the trailers for it. I've watched reviews on the game. It looks great. It's definitely a game I got to check out. I mean, also because it's part of the Lord of the Rings universe, and I'm a huge Lord of the Rings guy. But I've heard nothing but good things about Shadow of Mordor. So it's probably going to be right. And I believe it is available on PC, so it's probably going to be one of the next games that I download and play on my PC. By the way, I've been doing some play-in chats recently, and I got to say I'm having fun. I suck. I totally suck. There are very few games I've ever been really good at. For the most part, I just like playing games even though, there are things you suck at that you really enjoy doing even though you suck at it. Whether it's, Fortnite or whether it's sex. There's a lot of things you may suck at, but you still really enjoy. And playing video games, and I gotta say, I've been having a lot of fun doing plane chats. The other night, Ann and I did it together. Ann was here with me, and she was just laughing at me and making a lot of fun of me and reading off questions. So I think Ann and I are going to start doing some more play and chats together, and where she'll read off all the comments and questions you guys are sending in. But I think we might even switch it up and have her sit in this chair and play some Spider-Man, and I'll sit behind her right here, and read the questions coming up. But I think we're going to go back and forth. I've been having a lot of fun doing them, and I don't know why more than 5 people watch me play, but we've had like 500, 1,000 people watching as we play it. It's been a lot of fun. And I'm going to keep doing that. And I think Shadow of Mordor is going to be one of those games that I have to incorporate into our play and chats here pretty soon. Okay, let's keep going. Let's see. Spencer Main writes, I'm shocked by the lack of First Man at the Globes. Who cares? It's the Globes. It's the Globes. It means nothing. It means nothing. But I will say this. I really enjoyed First Man. But I remember coming out of it and thinking the only lock that I would really say is a lock is Claire Foy for Best Supporting Actress. And I think that might be the one thing from First Man that did get a nomination at the Golden Globes was Claire Foy for Best Supporting Actress. She's incredible in that. And I liked First Man very much. But it's kind of like the same thing with Black Panther. I liked First Man very much. I think it's great. I personally don't feel it belongs in the Best Picture conversation. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful, but I also think it had some drawbacks and some things that weren't so great. And Claire Foy should get a nomination for Best Supporting Actress. But I honestly, for me, I don't think First Man's in Best Picture conversation. But that's just me. I know there are a bunch of people who disagree. SC Edge 77 writes, man or woman, I would still say that if Captain Marvel Sue swoops in and ends the fight, it will be a sad and disappointing end indeed. I have no idea what you're talking about. If she swoops in and stops what fight? I mean, you took the time to write it out, and I want to address what you're saying, but I don't know what it is you're kind of asking here. Sorry about that, man. Next time, just flesh it out a little bit more. So I apologize. I'm just not really quite sure where you're going with that. Fayant Productions writes, the snap has an official name called The Decimation. Yep, we went over that. Could this be the title for Avengers 4? Russo said the title would be scary and a spoiler. Well, we've already kind of addressed that. Again, they've also said before that the name of Avengers 4 has been in the previous movies. So what does that mean? And The Decimation has not been in the previous movies, so I don't know. Maybe they changed their mind or maybe they were lying. But for that reason, for now, I'm going to guess it's not the name of the movie. But we'll wait and see. Everything's possible, though. Tyler Yeats writes, I wish we got more Christmas comedies. I really enjoyed The Night Before and Office Christmas Party. I didn't love Office Christmas Party, but it was all right. Night Before I thought was great. I love Night Before. But I'll go one step further, Tyler. I don't just want some good Christmas comedies. We need more comedies. This was not a great year for comedies. There are a few that stood out. A lot of you didn't like it, but I don't care. I loved Happy Time Murders. Tag was great. I think Game Night was the best comedy of the year. You got some mixed genre comedies, like comic book movie comedies, like a Deadpool, whatever, but just good, pure comedies. There weren't many very good ones this year. There were a couple, but not many. So I agree, it'd be nice to get some more Christmas time really good comedies. Well, we got the 12 Days of Deadpool coming. I keep calling it the 12 Days of Deadpool. That's the name of the campaign. It's called Once Upon a Deadpool. We got Once Upon a Deadpool coming. I'm sure that's going to be good, but like a good straight up pure comedies, not just at Christmas. I think we need more in general. Stubble McShave writes, would you like to see Cobra anime as a live action? I don't even know what we're talking about, Stubble, so I can't comment on that. Javier Rios 405 writes, what's the better movie, Chips 2017 or Baywatch 2017? Oh my God, those are both awful. And you guys know how much I love Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I love Dwayne The Rock Johnson. But man, those movies, Baywatch was unwatchable. And here's the thing. I watched the screening of Baywatch at Paramount Studios. I was actually on the lot at Paramount, sitting in this room with a bunch of other critics who were there to watch it. And a buddy of mine who now works for Paramount. Like, we were buddies when he was working for other places, but he now works at Paramount. And we were talking beforehand. I was excited to see Baywatch. I thought the trailers looked hilarious. And he was sitting right across. And I tell you what, I've only walked out of like 5 movies in my life. I would have walked out of Baywatch had we not been on the Paramount lot and had my buddy who works for Paramount not been sitting right there. I would have walked out of that movie. It's so bad. But as bad as it is, Chips might be even worse. Chips might be even worse, my friends. That Chips movie was brutally bad. Brutally bad. And I like the dude. You know, the guy who wrote starred. Why did I just freeze? Kristen Bell's husband. I'm freezing on his name. Where Dax Shepard, of course, Dax Shepard. So Kristen Bell's husband. Kristen Bell makes an appearance in the movie, and I like Dax Shepard. I do. Apparently, he like wrote and directed and starred in Chips. And Michael Peña's in it, and I love Michael Peña. Oh my God, that movie's awful. How anybody greenlit that movie, I have no idea. And then once it was made, you probably should have just dumped it on Netflix, but I guess you needed to recoup your money. But, whoo, that's bad. I'll say Chips is the better movie. I don't know. It's a coin toss. They're both absolutely horrible. Rory Brown writes, do you think Captain Marvel should have had Ant-Man's spot this year after Infinity War? No, but it's impossible to say until after we see Captain Marvel. I think my suspicion is that Captain Marvel is designed to lead directly into Avengers 4. Now, I don't know that for a fact. We have to see the movie. But it's very, very difficult to say that when we haven't seen the movie yet. But my suspicion is Captain Marvel is designed to specifically flow directly into Avengers 4. If that's the case, then it makes total sense that it comes out now and Ant-Man came out when it came out. So to me, that makes more sense. Not to mention, since Ant-Man kind of straddles pre the events of Avengers Infinity War and then catches up with the events of Avengers Infinity War, you don't want to put that movie off too long. Like, understanding when Ant-Man happens, you got to make that the next movie that comes out after Avengers Infinity War. So, no, I don't think they should have swapped him around. I think it's coming out exactly when it should come out. Spencer Main writes, Claire Foy, Best Supporting Actress for First Man. Yeah, I agree. I don't know that I would say she should win, but I definitely believe she should be a lock for the nomination. She's great in that movie. I think she may have been the best part about that movie, other than the way they crafted the tension in the film, which is amazing. It's a good, solid movie. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Not a Best Picture contender in my opinion, but Claire Foy was amazing. I'm Upset writes, over under 40%, Michelle Williams is in Venom 2. I'm going to take the over. I'll take the over on that. I thought Michelle Williams was quite good in it. She didn't have a ton to do in it, but I certainly liked it when she was in, and I thought her and Tom Hardy had good chemistry. And you know, when they sign these actors to any kind of comic book related movie, they sign them to multiple film deals. It's like, yeah, we'll give you the role, but you have to commit to doing at least 3 if we want to do more. So over under 40%, I'll take the way over. Actually, I would probably take the over on like 70. I'd even take the over on 70. Trevor Johnson writes, hey, John, currently going through a pretty hard breakup. Oh, that sucks, man. Breakups suck. You know what? Even when the breakup is the best thing in the world for you, it still sucks. Breakups really suck. Even when it's something you should totally do, it sucks. Anyway, going through a pretty hard breakup, but the one thing that's given me some laughter and joy is this show and talking to loved ones about movies and TV. Thanks for all you guys do. Well, that's awesome, Trevor, and I'm glad that the film fan community and this show as a part of it can be here for you, and I'm glad you're here participating in it, man. And again, we've all been through sucky breakups. And even when it's the best thing, and even when you're the one doing it, and even all that, breakups still suck, and it's a hard thing. But movies give you that mental break, man, and I'm glad being a part of the film fan community can be a help to you. So thanks for sharing that, Trevor, man. Akeem writes, I hope we don't get Avengers trailer until March. You know what? No, I want an Avengers trailer as soon as possible. But seeing how many entitled, sucky babies there are out there going, Disney's disrespecting us by not giving us our trailer, I almost feel the same way. There's a little part of me that goes, yeah, no, I kind of don't want them to launch it till like March either. Now I want them to now I don't want them to give it to us at all, just because I want to see you entitled little babies cry some more. Now I'm not talking about people who really want to see the trailer going, oh man, I can't wait for the trailer. That's great. But man, it's just this toxic black hole of these entitled little babies. They're like, Disney's trolling us and Disney's disrespecting us by not giving us, how dare Disney, we should go in and downvote all their other videos until they give us what we want. Oh my God, I can't believe these people even exist. Your parents should have their breeding license revoked. Anyway, but I'd like to say that, but I want the trailer as soon as possible. Like I'm like everybody else, man. I can't wait to see this trailer. But Disney will give it to us when they are ready to give it to us and when they want to give it to us. They will give it to us when they think it will give them the best bang for their buck. And if that's tonight, it'll be tonight. If that's tomorrow, it'll be tomorrow. And if it's March, which it won't be, but if it's March, then it'll be March. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, okay, let's go on here now. I'm Upset writes, saw Night School, didn't like it, but curious to see if Hart and Haddish do dramatic work. Yeah, I wasn't big on Night School either. And again, that's one of those things where I'm a Tiffany Haddish fan, but she has not appeared in the strongest stuff since Girls Trip. She has not been in anything that she's really been the right fit for and really will take advantage of her unique set of skills, because I believe she's got great skills. And I like Kevin Hart too, but yeah, I was disappointed as well. I don't know if I can see Kevin Hart doing drama. I don't know. And Tiffany Haddish is not a thespian. She's a stand-up comedian who can just bring comedy. So I don't know. But then again, a lot of people probably said that about Jim Carrey. A lot of people might have said that about Tom Hanks too. But Jim Carrey and Tom Hanks are 1 in a million. Are Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish that? I don't know. I love them in their comedy, so let's see what happens. All right, Angry Irish Benjamin writes, the MCU and its fandom have come full circle. Back in the 2000s, they were looked down on as something that couldn't work. Movies produced by small studios funded through a rotating credit cycle. Oh, that's one of 4. Okay. Well, Curtis Lopez got to you first. So I'm going to read Curtis's thing, then we'll pick up the rest of your stuff at Angry Irish. Curtis Lopez writes, sorry about the Mar Stan Lee question yesterday. Didn't mean to make you upset. Just thought Robert Meyer Burnett was going to be on the show. It didn't make me upset, Curtis. Not at all. I just don't know why. Why are we still bringing it up? Why do we care what Robert Meyer Burnett says? Why do you care what I say? I don't understand why anybody talks about the Bill Maher stuff. I think it's preposterous that any of us, me included, I think it's preposterous that any of us even talked about it. It's so not important, and it's so irrelevant, and now it's such old news. I just don't know why we keep bringing it up. But I know, but you didn't upset me. I'm just like, why? Why do you even care? Why do we keep bringing this? Let it go. Let's let it die. Anyway, let's get back over to, but it didn't upset me, Curtis. Don't feel like it didn't upset me at all. Don't worry about that. Okay, movies produced by a small studio, funded through a rotating credit cycle, and then we move on to the next part of Angry Irish Benjamin stuff. Distributed by Paramount, featuring characters no one cared about, and bound together by a shared universe gimmick that was seen as untenable. But 10 years and 20 films later, Marvel is part of the mighty Disney juggernaut. The MCU is reigning champion of the cinema brands, and fans are dissing other studios for trying to start similar franchises to emulate Marvel's success. I have mixed feelings about this. I mean, the movies kick ass, but the toxicity is the worst part of the fandom is something I could definitely do without. Yeah, I mean, first of all, Angry Irish Benjamin, great observations. Absolutely spot on observations. And I like the historical walkthrough you do there because it's true. You know, it's funny. I've said this before, but it's really, really true. Back in the day, when I was doing the movie blog and then the movie blog audio edition and for your consideration, and even when I launched AMC Movie Talk, back then, it was like I was talking about movies, but I felt like a part of my job was try to convince people, give these comic book movies a chance. Give these movies a chance. They're getting better, and they were at the time. They were getting better. You know, these comic book movies aren't the same schlocky things they were back in the 70s and 80s. Give these movies a chance. So I felt like, at the time, it was like, hey, let's talk about the movies. And a part of my thing was trying to appeal to movie fans to give these comic book movies a shot. Today, it's completely the opposite. Today, I feel like one of the parts of my job is to try to convince you guys to give these non-comic book movies a shot. It's like, guys, go see BlacKkKlansman. Guys, put Welcome to Marwen on your radar. Guys, we got the December 21st, but let's talk about Vice and Marwen and The Mule. And guys, you need to go see this classic. And I almost feel like my job is completely reverse thrust from trying to convince people to give comic book movies a chance to today trying to convince a lot of guys, there's more than just comic book movies out there. Like 9 out of every 10 emails that get sent to me are about the comic book genre. And that's great. I love talking about the comic book genre. It's the most popular genre in the world right now. I get it. That's fine. But let us not forget that in this golden highlight age, that there's other incredible cinema, better cinema even. Because there are some people when I say, no, I don't think Avengers Infinity War should be considered one of the best pictures of the year. The only film really recently I thought should have been considered for Best Picture that's a comic book movie was Logan. I think Avengers Infinity War is great, but I would not nominate for Best Picture. And people look at me like I'm an alien. They're like, what? How can you say that? And normally it's guys who have seen like 9 movies this year and they were all comic book movies, right? And I try to tell them, guys, like BlacKkKlansman, BlacKkKlansman is one of the biggest one to me, A Quiet Place, well, on and on. So many of these great films that a lot of comic book movie fans don't go to see. And I think and there's nothing wrong with this. I think there's a lot of people who are legitimately comic book movie fans, not movie fans. You know, they're comic book movie fans, not necessarily movie fans. Anyway, that just kind of illustrates what you're talking about, Angry Irish, that a lot of things have come full circle that way, right? And almost reversed. today, unfortunately, and this is human nature, there are a lot of film fans that are very snooty and toxic and whatever. The DC versus Marvel thing is unbearable. Like, the DC zombie corporate slaves are unbearable. But the Marvel zombie corporate slaves have become just as, if not even worse. You know, you bring up anything DC related now. It's like, all DC sucks. It sucks if it's not Marvel. It's useless and blah, blah. It's like, oh gosh, stop. Stop. It's all just been movie fans. So I think you're absolutely right, man. I think that there is that element that the more the comic book genre, in particular the MCU, has grown in prominence and popularity and power, which are all good things, and it's well-deserved, it's also grown in the toxicity within subsets of that fan group. And it is something that should be pointed out, and it is something that should be addressed. It's something that we as fans need to stop doing. So I'm completely with you, Angry Irish. Okay, anyway, let's move on here. Curtis Lopez writes, anyways, how do you feel about Iron Spider playing Bill Maher in a movie about his Stan Lee controversy? Maybe in the movie he eats eggs with ketchup. So you just got to put in there of everything I hate. All you also got to mention is beer and seafood. A lot of people say, I don't drink. A lot of people think, John, why don't you drink? Like, do you have an alcohol abuse problems? No. Do you have like an allergy? No, I am just legitimately never liked the taste of alcohol. So it's funny, when Ann and our friends were trying to decide a place to go eat, they're like, let's go to a beer seafood place, because I don't like seafood either. And but it's weird. I'm Canadian and I don't like beer. I really don't like beer. And I'm Italian and don't necessarily drink wine. I will drink wine from time to time, given the occasion, but it's not something I would just for enjoyment do. If I was at home and I had all the drink options in the world, I wouldn't pour myself a glass of wine. Like I said, I just don't like the taste of alcohol that much. So anyway, there's that. Jehan writes, caught up with Lucifer, awesome. Loved the last episode. So intense when he fought with his bloodied wings. Can't wait for season 4. Most anticipated along with Game of Thrones. Dude, I can't even contain myself how excited I am for Lucifer the next season. I can't be, especially since they've moved over to Netflix. And I'm really curious to see how more risque they get now that they're on Netflix. Because Lucifer has always been a bit of a risque show. It really has. And I think they pushed the envelope as far as they could go with their dirtiness. Bring on the filthy. They go as far as they can go with the filthy as they could on network television. I'm really curious to see if Netflix will let them push that envelope even just a little bit more. But I'm with you. I am actually more looking forward, and I can't wait for Game of Thrones to come back. But I am more excited for the next season of Lucifer. So I'm with you on that, man. All right. ZOMG Ruler writes, Aquaman box office predictions, 850 million lowest to 900 million highest. That's a pretty wide range. That's a $320 million range. I don't believe that Aquaman can be a $1 billion film, but it doesn't need to be. I believe it's possible it could come a little lower. It could come in 500 to 550, but even then, if it comes in at 500 to 550, I still believe you got to consider that a success. Corey Timmons writes, hey, John, you're the only reason I even get on YouTube. Well, thank you so much, Corey. You need to watch Animal Kingdom on TNT. I've got a lot of people tell me that, man. Is the best show. I know you like heist stuff, and that's all it is about, a family of robbers. Keep making me watch. You know what? I've seen the trailer, the commercials for Animal Kingdom, and I saw that immediately. Oh, this is about heists and robberies and family drama. You're speaking my language, man. But again, I don't have a lot of time for TV, but I've never actually gotten around to it. But I'm telling you what, Corey, you're not the only one telling me that I got to get on this. And I keep hearing guys like you mentioning how good of a show it is. And I really got to figure out a way that I can make some time to actually just sit down and start watching it, because it's starting to frustrate me how many people are telling me how good it is, and I haven't watched it yet. So I will get myself around to it at some point. Thanks for bringing that up, Corey. All right. Alan Gonzalez writes, I think that in order to like Dragon Ball Z, people have to watch Dragon Ball when Goku was a kid. I don't know. You're not, sometimes you're preaching to the choir, sometimes you're not. I'm not the choir on this. I'm not a Dragon Ball guy at all. Like I said, like 10, 15 years ago, I had a friend of mine showing me Dragon Ball stuff. My friends love it. I didn't like it. Didn't work for me. So I'm not insulting it. I'm just saying it did not work for me. So I am the wrong guy to talk to about that, Alan. And listen, here's the thing. Dragon Ball fans and fans of everything, you just got to accept there are people who are not going to like Dragon Ball. To some people, Dragon Ball is not good. And you can't go, oh, but you will like it if you do this. No. There are just people out there who don't like it. I had to come to that realization many years ago about Star Wars. Guess what? There are just people who don't like Star Wars. And that's fine. Oh, but if you watch the Star Wars movies again, and if you watch them in this order, then you will like it. No. There are just people who don't like certain things. And that's fine. That's the subjectivity of film and the subjectivity of art and of entertainment. So, no, it doesn't matter what order I watch Dragon Ball in. I'm not going to like Dragon Ball. It's not my thing, but that's okay. There are many things that I do like that many of you wouldn't like, and that's cool too. It's all subjective. All right, Catholic Jack writes, John, pick which one is better. Road to Perdition, ooh, that's a good one. The Last Samurai, that's another good one. Love you, Broseph. Keep up the filthy and happy holidays. Well, they're two very different movies. By the way, Tom Hanks' Road to Perdition is actually based on a graphic novel. I don't qualify it as a comic book movie, but it is based on a graphic novel and is very, very good. But I like The Last Samurai a lot. Tom Cruise, Ken Watanabe. I believe Ken Watanabe got nominated for an Academy Award for that, I think. They're both great. It's hard to pick. I'll lean towards The Last Samurai. Yeah, I'll lean towards The Last Samurai. But that's no shade on Road to Perdition. I love that movie, man. Curtis Lopez writes, planning a triple feature Saturday. Vox Lux, nice, with the new Natalie Portman movie. At the ArcLight, Into the Spider-Verse, early screening at the Universal AMC, and Bumblebee, early screening at AMC Burbank. Can't wait. Here's hoping that's all good. First of all, I haven't watched Vox Lux yet. There was a press screening last week. I was too busy. I couldn't go. And I don't go to many press screenings now anyway. I'm making some exceptions this week because there's some movies I really want to see. But for the most part, you guys know, I don't go to press screenings anymore. Waste of my time. But I am very curious about Vox Lux because I'm hearing fantastic things about it. I love Natalie Portman. The trailers, I think, have been great. So I'm really down for that. And obviously Spider-Verse and Bumblebee are a couple movies I'm really excited to see. So that sounds like a quality time at the movie theater, Curtis. So I hope you have a good time, dude. All right. Mario Aguirre writes, who's your favorite house in Game of Thrones? I don't know. I mean, I'm not hardcore enough. Like, I mean, I guess you have to go, look, I don't want to sound stereotypical and blah, 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 but yeah, it would be Stark. It's Targaryens and all. I understand all that, but honestly, I'm a Game of Thrones fan, but I'm not a, well, the houses in book 4, they turned out to be with the double crossing of, I'm not that deep of a Game of Thrones guy. Like, I'm a fan of the Harry Potter movies, but when people say, which house are you? I don't have an answer to that. I'm more of a Star Wars. Would you say you are more a Sith or Jedi? Like, I'm more of that kind of a geeky guy, right? I'm not as that plugged in to Potter or to like Game of Thrones, so I wouldn't say I had a house. But if I had to pick one off the top of my head, well, I would have to go with Stark. I mean, they're kind of the central heroes of the story, so I would kind of go that way. Toonie2 writes, John, don't get too upset with this award crap. For me, they're all useless because all film's subjective. I learned this from you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't get upset about it. I mean, I just think the Golden Globes are useless. I like the Academy Awards. Like, let's just put it this way. Anything that is not measurable is subjective. So gymnastics is subjective. Who did the backflip better? Is there a measurement for that? No. It's just up to the judge's eyes and their opinion? Well, that's subjective. But I still think we should celebrate gymnastics and award who we feel are the best at it, even if you can't prove it objectively. So I like awards. I do. I like awards season. I like all that kind of stuff. I like that, the actors in the Academy nominate the acting categories. I like the directors in the Academy nominate the director. I like all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it is all subjective. It is absolutely subjective. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't still celebrate excellence as long as we understand that it's a subjective measure. It's not an either or. I think it's a both and. So I think it's a both and situation there, Toonie. So thank you for that. Krypton Caged writes, I think option 4 is most likely. Game trailer plus A4 teaser. Assembling them together would double the hype and double the audience, game plus movie fans. I mean, that's possible too. I mean, it's not either or. It could be a combination of a couple. But I would agree with you. I think it's either the game trailer, a teaser for the upcoming trailer, or both of those things. Just, I don't necessarily think it's going to be the actual Avengers 4 trailer tonight. That's all my point is. But so I agree with you, Krypton. Okay. Let's see. Maja Norbai writes, best actor, Chris Pratt, Pine, Evans, or Hemsworth. So the best Chris, I'm going to say Hemsworth. What he did in Rush was phenomenal. Chris Pine has absolutely had some shining moments. So is Chris Pratt. Absolutely so is Chris Evans. I love all these Chris's. I think they're all great. I'm a big fan of all of them. But best straight up actor, I think is Hemsworth. And I think the Russo brothers think so too. If you listen to the director's commentary of Avengers Infinity War, they just kind of drool over Chris Hemsworth as an actor and his pure acting ability. And that scene might be probably the best acted scene in the history of the MCU. Is that scene between Thor and Rocket that ends with Rocket saying, and what if you're wrong? Then what else do I have to lose? I mean, that whole scene is so powerful. Might be the best acted scene in all the MCU. So I will go Hemsworth. Drew writes, over under 60% Spider-Verse animated Oscar win. I'll go under. I think that's pretty much a lock for Incredibles 2. But again, I haven't seen it yet. I see it on Wednesday. So I can't have an informed opinion on that yet. To me, it's a lock. It's Incredibles 2. That movie's amazing. But maybe I'll feel differently once I see Spider-Verse. So right now, I'll go way under 60%. Like more like 20%. More like 20%. Santa Claus writes, I have a big night tonight this year. 2 big nights. Okay, 2 big nights. Fantastic. I'm not quite sure what you're going at, but there you go. Daniel Joseph writes, ever hear of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates? Morons. Vicini, Princess Bride. Morons. Really, truly, you have a dizzying intellect. I haven't even gotten started. Inconceivable. I love that so much. Let's see here. Where do we go? Okay, guys, please don't send in any more super chats because I'm already half hour overtime here. So please don't send in any more super chats. Let's see. But I want to get through all these things. Kamlesh Singh writes, show me trailer, I will give you $1,000. I don't necessarily have the trailer, or do I? Anyway, Hypra writes, hi, John, my first super chat to you. Keep it healthy. Thank you so much, Hypra. I appreciate that, and thanks for being here and being a part of the film fan community, man. And thank you for supporting the show. Water Kid writes, old Rebel Star Wars show or mediocre old Rebel Star Wars show or mediocre, which would be better? Old Rebel Star Wars show or mediocre. Sorry, Water Kid, I don't know what it is you're asking. I apologize about that. C. Stacks writes, doesn't really feel like Christmas without a Star Wars movie. Yeah, I know what you mean. We really have been spoiled the last few years. Still going to marathon them. Yeah, and again, you guys know my tradition over the last couple of years is my mom is the one who introduced me to Star Wars. So when I go home for Christmas, one of the things we do over the Christmas holiday is I take my family to go see Star Wars, the new Star Wars movie, whether it's Rogue One, whether it's Force Awakens, whatever. Last Jedi. So I've done it like 3 years in a row, I guess. Anyway, can't do that this year, but that's fine. I'll just take my mom to go see Aquaman. My mom wants to see Aquaman, so I'll probably take her to see Aquaman. Brian Paz writes, Die Hard, a Christmas movie anniversary Blu-ray has the answer. It's not. I looked up the Blu-ray. There are some Blu-ray covers that have a regular one. Some has like a Christmas look to it, but it's not a Christmas movie. Bruce Willis said as much. And by the way, there's a new story today. There was a big poll done, and I saw this on Dark Horizons. There was a big poll done about whether or not Die Hard was a Christmas movie or not. And it's not. There's nothing about Die Hard that's a Christmas movie. Nothing. It happens at Christmas time, but it is not a Christmas movie in any way, shape, or form. Anyway, there was this big survey that was actually done, and it actually came out that most of the people common sensely agree that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, and Bruce Willis would agree. Jermaine Sneed writes, can you tell us what mistakes you felt Bradley Cooper made directing Star is Born? I felt some editing was jarring. Love the film overall. Yeah, well, I talked about it in my review. The big mistakes are there were a couple of scenes. Here's the thing. In Braveheart, Mel Gibson said, who directed Braveheart, in the DVD commentary, he once said, when you're a director, scenes are like your children because you spend untold weeks and months crafting a scene and then shooting the scene and doing all that kind of stuff. And he said, cutting a scene out of your movie is like killing one of your children. It's heartbreaking. You don't want to do it, but you have to for the good of your movie, to give the movie better pace or whatever reasons. There are reasons to cut out scenes even if you love them. To me, A Star is Born had a couple of scenes that didn't need to be there. They were good. They were good scenes, but the narrative of the movie would not have been upended or anything had they taken those scenes out, and it would have given the movie even better flow and pace. He should have cut them out. But as a new director, and I find that with newer directors, this is usually a bigger thing. They don't want to cut those scenes out because they're too attached to them, Whereas more seasoned directors, they learn, even if it's good stuff, you take it out for the good of the overall movie, right? And that was one of the big things that I found. There were a few other little issues that I mentioned in my review, but that's one of the most highlighted ones. Let's see. Where are we at here? Aviator 986 writes, which has more prestige, the AMAs or the Globe? Well, really the AMAs. Sorry. I was thinking about the AMPAS. I was thinking about something completely different. I was thinking about the American Producers Association, not the AMAs. I don't know. I really don't follow the music awards at all. I have no idea. I don't follow the music industry. I don't know which music award shows have any prestige and what aren't. So I can't really give an opinion about that. Froygon Jin writes, two of my favorite female action stars are Gal Gadot and Boutel. Sophia Boutel is amazing. One of the two, who do you think becomes the better actress? Well, Sofia Boutella clearly is the better action person. She's clearly the better action person. But overall as an actress, I don't know. Like, Sophia did a pretty good job. Well, look, in The Kingsman, good job. But it was very limited amount of acting she actually had to do, right? There was a very limited amount of acting she had to do. Her best, I liked her very much in Atomic Blonde. I mean, and look, all due respect, maybe this isn't tasteful to say. I'm just being honest as a heterosexual, sexual being kind of a guy. Oh my God, the scenes between Sofia Boutella and why am I freezing on Charlize Theron's name? Charlize Theron. The sex scenes between those two, mind-boggling hot, like so well done. But anyway. But probably the best acting she ever did was in the most recent Star Trek movie. She was actually pretty okay in that Star Trek movie. If I had to guess, I would actually think as the better overall actress will probably end up being Gal Gadot. Now, if I had a choice to put either Sofia Boutella or Gal Gadot in one of my movies today, I'd probably put in Sofia Boutella. But I think in the long run, we've already seen Gal Gadot make improvements. I still don't think she's all that good right now, but we've seen her make improvements. And I don't think there's any reason to doubt that she's going to continue to improve. I don't think there's any doubt in that. So long term, I think Gal Gadot ends up being the better actress. But I would say the better action star is very much clearly Sofia Boutella. By the way, if you've never watched any of her dancing videos, oh my God, I didn't know the human body could do these things. Go watch Sofia Boutella's dancing videos on YouTube. It's crazy. Water Kid writes, would you like to see Grey Jedi become canon? Nope. No interest at all in Grey Jedi. Not even in the least. Santez Henderson writes, you, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. Oh yeah, from Rocky. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That he actually says that to our buddy Milo Ventimiglia, who played Rocky's son in Rocky 6. Great speech in a great movie. I love that movie. Mark C. writes, I asked last week, now we've gotten another trailer. Is it me, or does Captain Marvel lack any real heat going in? Well, I mean, Mark, that's all we've been talking about the last week, the last number of days that's all we've been talking about. Now it's got heat, but the thing is, all the attention is on Avengers 4 right now. All the attention's on Avengers 4. I mean, even Spider-Man Far From Home doesn't have much heat right now. Jake Gyllenhaal put out a really cool Instagram video yesterday, but really, even Spider-Man Far From Home, which comes out just 2 months after Avengers 4, isn't getting a lot of attention. So, yeah, it's like Avengers 4 is this big attention black hole. It's just sucking all of the attention into itself, which is kind of understandable. Let's see. Water Kid writes, Revan movie or Maul movie, which would you rather see? I think we've seen a lot of Maul, and I love Maul, and Maul is actually my preferred character. But we've seen a lot of Maul in a lot of the different formats, so probably Revan. Will you go see Dragon Ball Z Super Broly movie? Nope, no interest in it. Giovan CICC writes, what Shakespeare lead role would you like to see Daniel Day-Lewis play? Ooh, well, only because we were talking about it the other day. Maybe my all-time favorite, I mean, aside from Godfather, but maybe my all-time favorite Al Pacino performance was in 2004's The Merchant of Venice, where he played Shylock. I would love to see Daniel Day-Lewis take a crack at that role. I would love to see Daniel Day-Lewis in that role. I think that would be amazing to see. Let's see here. Last 2 questions, and then we'll wrap it up here, guys. Cybergorn Star Trooper writes, love that name, over under 50%. Avengers 4 title is Secret Invasion. I don't think so. I'll go way under 50% on that. I mean, anything is possible. It could. I'm not saying it won't be. But if you're going to give me the over underline 50%, I'll take way under that. I think they got other things to worry about. Primarily, the whole Thanos fallout. Dealing with the fallout of Thanos and the snap and all that kind of stuff. I don't think Secret Invasion will be a part of it. But we've seen Stranger Things, so I ain't going to say it's impossible. Not at all. All right, last question of the day. Water Kid, who wins in a fight? Justice League or Avengers? Justice League. They got Superman. That's it. Done. Justice League wins in a fight. You got Superman. You got Wonder Woman. I mean, that's pretty much all you need. But John, Thor's powers are mostly based on magic, and Superman has a weakness to magic. I get all that, but Justice League. Justice League. Whose movies am I watching first? Probably the Marvel movies are the ones I'm watching first. But really, I mean, it's probably just because they have Superman. And that pretty much trumps everything unless you're Batman. And they got Batman too. So I'll probably lean towards that myself. All right, guys. That will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I will, of course, be back again tomorrow for another episode. Make sure you join me at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, and all that sorts of good stuff. I love the fact that you guys join me here, and I love that I get to be a part of your day as a fellow film fan talking about all this stuff. Hey, listen, guys, do me a favor. If you enjoy my programming, do me a favor and go and check out www.patreon.com/John Campea. There you will find out what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter actually keeps the show on the air, and what little perks are to being a Patreon supporter. And by the way, I have a couple of new perks coming for Patreon supporters that we'll announce next week. Nothing big like I'm going to fly you all out to Los Angeles. Nothing huge, but some cool little perks, things that I'm looking forward to that I think are going to be fun. So I'll announce that later this week. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks for being here. My name is John Campea. And until the next video, bye-bye.